Game number 2. We'll see if Team Queso can answer back, and more importantly, perhaps, if they ban out the Ao Kuang. Team Queso, ban out the Ao Kuang. There it is, boys. Just the first ban, and that's the thought process. For sure, they go, no thanks. Flashpoint, ban out Merlin.
But now, Queso are in a position where they've already lost one of their games, essentially to AO and friends, and now they're trying to bring things back for this hope that they can make it to a third game.
Ooh.
And the Yana's ban out as well on top of that leads me to believe that maybe Queso trying to prioritize a Xbalanque here?
I think so as well. I think Xbalanque one of the stronger characters, and that's absolutely where you're going to go. Giannis played a very important part in that last game, and when you look across the way and you say, all right, Sibi on the Sun Wukong is really strong, everybody felt really comfortable. Giannis is a play style. No other god can really do what he does, and so by taking him away, I think that's an appropriate conversation. Flashpoint ban the 2 Arthurian people, and then Team Queso go for the Achilles, not the Xbalanque that I would have expected.
Well, I'm waiting to see if Flashpoint are going to choose to respond with a Xbalanque pick of their own, and it's going to be the Soul instead. So Flashpoint, I think, trying to solidify their mid laner for FaraKrik first, and still get the Xbalanque in tow with it. I was very skeptical that Flashpoint would allow Xbalanque to actually slip by, so definitely glad to see them choosing to take it. I think that it's going to be pretty effective against Queso already. Darkest Night is just such a strong ultimate.
Ullr going to come through here. No ultimate for him, but certainly a strong kit nonetheless. And then looking across the way, Achilles and Ullr. What do they team up well with?
Pressure. This is all early game pressure right now from Queso, even with the Jormungandr. Although a little ambiguous still as to whether or not that's going to be support or solo. I think it's
mid.
Well, I mean, it's not impossible.
It worked.
Zeros definitely did it, so
it worked.
It does have some potential from the mid lane for sure, but I think that I wouldn't be upset to see Jormungandr in the support role, only because of the fact that it's an Ullr, but it's still undetermined as well whether this Ullr is even designated for a hunter or if it might just be a response to the soul pick in mid.
Well, Flashpoint are going to grab that Artio. Could be Sibi, could be Kespainify. Certainly something to really look at. But our second round of bans are out, and Naja banned as well as Susano. So both teams kind of looking in the jungle. But Flashpoint do have the first selection. So what it comes down to is I think we'll see 4 assassin bans, and then Johnny gets his choice.
I think the Naja ban is more a support role ban than an assassin ban for Queso, and the same thing for the Circuit. I don't really think that those are conventional junglers that Queso like to run so much. They prefer, I think, the beefier junglers.
Yeah.
They want frontline from the jungle. I think that way they can have multiple factors for initiation. But with the Daji call out, I mean, Queso are really trying to make Johnny dive deep into that Galpole. There's still possibilities, I think, of a Mercury even, or of the Bakasura. I also like the idea of possibly an Arachne just to deal with some of that early game pressure that Queso has right now.
Baka, Kali, Merc, Guan, Arachne, like you said. There's a ton of options that Johnny has all played very, very strongly. So we'll see where he opts to go. But Team Queso going to pick the Awilix, which can grab nobody. Nobody really has a jump, but she has her own knockup along with Yorm's. And Yorm Awilix was one of the big combos that we saw that really worked out well with this character. So we'll see if the knockups can enable Awilix to get some nice pulls from afar. Ra will be the mid lane of choice most likely. And Flashpoint choosing for Johnny now on the spot.
Awilix doesn't have a whole lot to work off of from Flashpoint's draft currently outside of that Bakasura, but we saw Splice first bring out this Jormungandr Awilix combination. I think if you add a Searing Pain on top of that, well, maybe Team Queso can get the ball rolling here for themselves.
We'll see how it works out. Game number 2, Flashpoint looking to close this one out quickly. Baka in the jungle, Casters in the booth.
Thank you so much, Desk. Queso versus Flashpoint for game 2. Good news, Tolly. Ao Kuang got banned.
Sometimes you gotta learn your lessons the hard way, Hindu man, and that's exactly what happened.
You know, Tolly, sometimes, you know, you hear about a lesson for a year. You know, you're like, hey, you know Johnny's Ao Kuang's pretty good. And you're like, yeah, is it? Is it still good? And then he wins. And then you're like, okay, but what about this time? And then what about this time? And what about just ban the freaking god? It's not rocket science, is it?
Well, kids always...
It translates language, too.
Yeah, kids always hear their parents say, don't touch the stove, it's hot. They still touch the stove.
Yeah, and then they get serious burns. Like, Should we just set people on fire who don't ban it? I agree with that. I think that's a good way of looking at it.
Okay, now you're stretching it, Hindu man.
I don't know. I mean, we're stretching it to see an Alquang every time. What we did see from Queso early on again, though, is looking to pressure this right-hand side and proxy farm the wave. Sibi did what he could to try and slow them down and actually did okay. Still picked up a bit of experience, but Dracomarino's very low. On the left-hand side of things, though, WorstTurttle will strip away that red buff, but now Dracomarino could die in a 2v1 situation. Sibi is doing a very good job there, but WorstTurttle will get first blood on FaraKrik. There's action everywhere. Poor old Doug can't keep up.
Oh, Shakio needs to run away, but he doesn't have the leap. Juking against Dzoni. He overshot his target. The root is going to force Warchi's beads, and just like that, WorstTurttle playing the Awilix gets a very early 1 minute first blood, a very important bounty for this early game jungler.
Really isn't. Being able to shut down a Sol a little bit earlier on, it won't impact too much because it was just the first minute of the game. But getting the kill against Sol is impactful. Sibi going to try and defend his blue buff against the might of the Serpent. And you know what? He did, but he'll die for it. And that's worthwhile. You got your blue, right, Tully? You're a solo laner. That's what you do.
No, that's not really worth it.
It's not worth?
No. Yeah, well, what he could have done was he could have actually just not gone in the cove to pick up the blue.
You know what Sibi messed up?
He had to dash to confirm the blue. That was the problem. If he tried to steal it with the Talu Assault in the basic attacks, then he used a dash defensively to get away, that would have been the safer play, but he probably would not have secured his blue otherwise.
That's true. At a normal time and place, though, Sibi was like, oh, I'll be okay. I've got Alquang in the jungle. But not today. Not this game.
Yeah, he's a little frustrated, I think, from the last game where he lost his blue buff as the Sun Wukong. This game on the Guan Yu, more impactful when you lose your blue buff. But despite all those shenanigans, Sibi having to face off 1v2, has an experience lead over Julio.
Oh, Johnny's low in the mid lane. He gets away from Dracomarino, who just leaked on through. Apologies for that there, Tully. I just thought we might have seen another kill in favor of Queso, who are off to a great start here so far.
Very aggressive, I would say, thus far, trying to make something happen on the left side of the mini-map earlier, or trying to defend their buffs, rather. Chegia with a very early Aegis into this composition, and looking at the composition when you're dealing with Johnny's Bakasura, it makes more sense to go for the Aegis to avoid all that regurgitate AoE basic attacks paired up with the Butcher Blade.
That's a good point. The one thing I'm interested in with the Hunters too is we're going to see two different builds this time round. Last time we saw boots rushes into Devourer's Gauntlets. Well, it's two different types of Hunters this time. Xbalanque looks like he's going to be going for the Transcendence eventually over the Devourer's Gauntlets, whereas Chekio, full on boots first of all, but where will his build take him after that? He's definitely interesting for an Ullr player.
I think as a Hunter player in Season 6, there's just so many options you can go for, so it wouldn't surprise me to see him go for almost anything, honestly.
I think it is definitely God-dependent, though, in the Hunter role right now, right? Because, like, depending if you're a more basic attack-focused or ability-focused, or maybe just late game, you know? You just want to build slightly different for every situation.
Like, you're not going crit on Ullr anytime soon.
Watch Chekio go crit now. You just jinxed it. Your caster cursed him totally.
Maybe I want him to. So, therefore, I say he's not going to do it. And, therefore, he will do it.
Yeah, that's what caster curses. That's what a caster curses. You say it's not going to happen, and it happens. It's part of it. Or it will happen. It will. Oracles on the left-hand side. Dracomarino is going to pick those up. Gold Fury spawns in about a minute's time. So those Oracles will be impactful for a bit of vision early on in favor of Queso, who I believe last game as well, they also took that early Gold Fury.
Yes, Queso were on the ball in terms of Gold Furies, the Primal / Oni Furies, but they couldn't really win these team fights once they started rolling around. I think a lot of it came down to the Fenrir support out of Fusify was a little more impactful than Dracomarino's Surcat.
Draco gonna lurk, walk up to the front line and knock up FaraKrik. No follow-up there just yet. Whistle. Did he use his ultimate a little bit early there? Is that what happened?
He used it a little late, but yeah, Johnny did use his beads.
Okay.
What could have happened was if he used the ultimate immediately, probably could have caught him halfway before the beads, because Johnny took him a while to use those beads, I would say.
Oh, it's from Fusify. They're looking to defend that red speed buff, I should say. Meanwhile, Darkest Nights comes into play. Dracomarino knocks up one, but FaraKrik gets a pretty good ultimate off, as now Warchi is left alone. What more can a Raw do in a situation like that? Queso trying to play the objectives with the invade, get collapsed on by Flashpoint, who did a very good job of answering back.
I mean, they did get the speed buff, but sacrificing Warchi's life, not ideal. He needs to be farming every single wave he can, stacking up the Book of Thoth, and that's going to allow FaraKrik to get back into this one, because he was the one originally getting first blooded.
You mentioned it though yourself, Tolly. I think Queso definitely very good at objective-focused game and play style, whereas Flashpoint are great at scrapping. They like a good brawl, and Johnny's showing WorstTurttle. He likes a good brawl. He'll take him down. He may go down in trade, however. Dracomarino and Warchi will combine to pick up the scraps, but speed buff was at least stolen, and Johnny at least got a kill.
So both junglers going down, both speed buffs going down. I like this trade out for Johnny, that he's back to his side of the map, having the hasten katana. However, WorstTurttle not too slow in his own right as he went for the Talaria boot, so he's going to be very speedy once he leaves his fountain.
Boots online for Czechio, whereas Kespainify a little bit further behind in his boots at the moment. Obviously, that's to do with the fact that, well, he started with boots 1 and Kespainify didn't. Is the only real difference separating them. Fusify on this right-hand side now on the Artio, trying to help out Sibi to secure his own blue. And Sibi's probably been requesting this a while because he keeps getting invaded. And talking about the invade, Queso are here right on time.
It's a 4-on-2. Flashpoint have to disengage. Fusify wants no part of it. Sibi's like, all right, you can have my blue buff at this point. I have teleport. I'm coming back in with Blackthorn's hammer. That's a really good power curve up against Julio with the Gladiator shield.
It's a lot of pressure from Queso, though, to send 4 people over there to try and invade the blue. It puts pressure on the mid lane, like you can see now, and it actually forces Dracomarino there to use his ultimate defensively and aggressively, which is one thing that this Jormungandr is going to be able to do time and time again.
And as a support player, that's what you need to do. Find those ways to get into the backline, which is why Jormungandr in Season 6 has started to get some popularity for the support role, for solo lane, for some teams even the mid role.
Yeah, get out of mid. Get out of mid. Don't even start me on that rubbish. I caught up with the SPL, right? What's going on? Why are we letting people play your mid, and why is nobody having an issue with it? It's a joke.
So
it took 50 minutes to do something, Tolly.
It kind of makes sense, because as a mage, you're doing AoE damage, and Jormungandr does a lot of AoE damage.
If he can get in range and survive long enough to do so, granted.
All you need to do is hit 2 of your 3 World Serpent hits as a glass cannon Jormungandr, then use a 3rd to get out, and you've done your job.
Now, you make that sound really simple, but I don't think hitting the World Serpent 2 times out of the 3 is actually that likely. If most likely is 1 hit.
Sure.
Through the course of the whole thing.
But you're not doing it yourself, right? You're doing it during a very chaotic team fight where members are going to be running away from other abilities.
Which makes it difficult to always predict where they're going to be.
Sure. Sometimes it has to line up, but you know, when you're playing with your teammates, you're coordinating these kinds of ideas and strategies, and coordinating a gank on the left side onto Kespainify.
2 fights at the same time going on. It's Kespainify under pressure. Darkest of Nights will try and keep him alive. And it actually, with that little shoot to the left there, he just put Czechio off and landing the final hit that was required. WorstTurttle will escape Fusify's clutches for now with the blink back to the tier 2 tower on the right-hand side. But Flashpoint trying to get aggressive in the jungle, see if there's anything available to invade. Not this time round, however. Instead, they have to just settle on the right-hand harpies.
Warchi just kind of still casually farming away with his Book of Thoth, with a little bit of cooldown reduction on the Shoes of Focus, ignoring Mage's Blessing to start off this game. FaraKrik, on the other hand, going for the Hunter's Blessing. Dracomarino trying to set up Warchi in any way that he can.
Just keeping the pressure going as Draco to the best of his ability. Left-hand harpies do go down. Right-hand side, though, Flashpoint will secure their own blue, given over to Sibi this time. It's quite an important blue buff to talk about, because that's where Queso continued to pressure through both game 1 and into this game as well. But after the last engagement, where it didn't come up so big in the mid lane for them, they kind of relinquished some of that pressure.
If I'm Flashpoint and I see that happen again out of Queso, I'm rushing the Gold Fury next time. That was a 4-on-2 numbers game for Queso's favor on the right side of the map, and whenever there's a disparity on one side, you have to think of like a little beam balance where you have to put weight on the other side to balance that out. So Flashpoint probably keeping that timer in the back of their minds on the respawn to see how Queso want to go about things.
So 2 games in a row then. Queso have had a lead in the game. Czechio working towards that transcendence now, as is Kespainify. He's got a bit of a level lead here, Czechio, and looking to bring down the tower. Still no rotation out of Flashpoint just yet, but without any minions left, there's not much more Czechio can do there.
Czechio will back, and this allows Kespainify some freedom of what he wants to do in terms of either freezing the wave to deny experience onto Czechio, or number 2, clearing it as soon as possible to make a rotation, whether it's to invade purple or assist in this mid fight.
FaraKrik gets knocked up by Dracomarino and spat on as well. Not enough to really force him back yet, as the focus is on towards Dracomarino for a second. But with Warchi and WorstTurttle both lurking around, Flashpoint were aware. Nice snipe out of Warchi onto Fusify, but it's a tanky target, and WorstTurttle is still getting beaten to high heaven, as the World Serpent does cause some problems for Fusify.
Oh, yeah, it did. Yes, it did. Fusify getting hit by all three of them, but Dzoni takes out WorstTurttle on the right side of the map, and that was Dracomarino getting off some good hits, but Warchi, I believe he only hit Fusify with that Searing Pain. Needed to hit a squishy target.
That was a rough situation there for WorstTurttle. He's like, I can get around and get the kill, and then one basic from Dzoni ends his life. But Dzoni then gets it back in tow. He loses his beads, forced back towards his tier 1 tower in the mid lane, as a red buff was looked at by Queso there. Wasn't available. Axe to the back of the head of Kespainify will remove his beads for now. Couple of beads down on Flashpoint now in quick succession means that Queso have a bit more opportunity to maybe get WorstTurttle and this Awilix involved.
Dzoni needs to alleviate some pressure onto Sibi that's getting poked out, and that's a scary feeling to face an Achilles that can execute you. Looks like both of their ultimates were actually traded out on that right side of the map, so not going to have to worry about that one for at least another 30 seconds, as Dzoni was on the right side of the map, backing to base now, finishing off his Ninja Tabi, working towards probably Executioner, maybe Chin Size.
So a bit more pressure there again onto FaraKrik in the mid lane from Warchi and Dracomarino. Think that window's subsided on trying to catch a Sol now, especially with a Bancroft's Talon online as well. The sustain's just going to be too much to try and bring down Sol on your own. We'll have to see some anti-heal Toli as the game goes on.
I would say so for both sides. You got Ra on one side to worry about for AoE healing. You also got Sibi's Guan Yu on the other. So sooner rather than later for both of these teams. I'm expecting maybe Divine Ruin from Warchi, maybe even a Pestilence from Dracomarino.
We'll see what happens there. Sibi, Julio going to continue boxing away on this right-hand side. Red buff for Warchi, but Dracomarino brought off a bit more than he could chew here. Has to back away from the damage coming up from Fusify, FaraKrik and Dzoni. World Serpent into effect. One hit. Not the second hit. Third hit, though. It does knock up Fusify into the ultimate out WorstTurttle and the ultimate out Warchi, but Fusify is yet still alive, and it's WorstTurttle that's already dead. Cancel that. It's WorstTurttle and Warchi that are already dead. Cancel that. Johnny's going in for a third. No, he's changed his mind. Instead, Czechio will slow that down.
Oh, Czechio taking so much damage, having to use the Aegis to prevent that stellar burst. Meanwhile, in the solo lane, both ultimates being traded out yet again. Diving the tier 1 right on top of Czechio. A 3-for-0 as the dust settles.
And this is where Flashpoint just seemed to excel over in Europe in the minor league, is at the team fight level. This team has been together for a long time. You've heard people talk about it time and time again, year after year now. But the one thing they've got going for them is their team fights, totally. That's the strongest part, the skirmishes and team fights. They always seem to come out on top.
Queso are focusing out Fusify to the point where they can't kill him fast enough before Fusify's teammates gets there to bail him out of that sticky situation. And this is only a level 10 Artio that has Gauntlet of Thebes, Reinforced Shoes, and the Gauntlet of Thebes isn't even fully stacked. It's going to gain even more protection. Sitting at about 35 stacks now, you're gaining 15 extra protections, and then you got the aura to consider.
We're still got the blue. Still not level 12 just yet, where Johnny's level 13. With the Gold Fury going down in the way of Flashpoint, Queso trying to answer back with at least getting some sort of gold back. And that'll be the Pyromancer on this right-hand side. Tier 1 tower also fell, which means the middle of the map is not as safe for Queso anymore. Warchi's going to have to sit even further back. And one thing I just noticed is that everybody on Queso is playing with diamond skins.
Hey, look at that.
I just looked at the Yorm and went, man, that's pretty. That's a pretty... All the Yorm skins, from what I can tell, from the, you know, the mastery level ones are really pretty. But I didn't realize
not
they were all
Julio.
diamonds.
Oh, wait, that is diamond. Never mind.
Is it diamond?
Wait, it's kind of bluish. No, it's not diamond.
Pleb Julio in the house. That's what's going on
He doesn't have diamonds, so he's kind of like, I'll wear something blue, I
I'll
guess.
try and blend in.
He's like one of those like cosplayers that doesn't have the fancy material, but they still try anyway.
Hey, leave the cosplayers alone. They all put the same effort. It's like the dude that got the, like, you know, like he's going to a party and they're like, it's everybody get dressed and look fancy and smart, and he's like, all right, I guess I'll wear, you know, something close to.
It's like if we're going to Chuck's Halloween party and we're going to be dressed as SMITE gods, and I'm like, yeah, I guess I'll just wear a toga and like do my hair real quick and I'll be Apollo.
I'll just put shorts on and become Bacana. I don't have to wear anything else. Kespainify on the right-hand side, keeping the pressure going on Dracomarino, but the dive is all onto Czechia. Remember, last fight his beads and Aegis were burnt, and Flashpoint went, all right, World Serpent, what are you going to do when we take down Ullr? Well, you're going to dance around, and WorstTurtle's on the way over here, looking potentially for an ultimate. Won't find it yet. Warchi's still in the mid lane. Flashpoint group up as 4 men and take down a tier 1 and take a life in the process.
WorstTurttle a little bit too late to this party on the left side of the map. Dracomarino was getting the knockups, but WorstTurttle was not in range to pull anybody. With those 1 pick and with forcing Dracomarino back, not only was the tier 1 tower crumbling, but now even the tier 2.
Yeah, it's just a bad play from Queso there. They lose a tier 1, but why are you not defending a tier 2? You lose that for free. Maybe the fight after will go your way. Snipe onto FaraKrik does connect, and now the dance to the backline from WorstTurtle, looking for the pick on Kespainify. FaraKrik still alive, but Kespainify, different story. FaraKrik slipping away from Julio at the time being, as Baka is munching onto WorstTurtle, leaps over the wall. He needs Suku as quick as possible, WorstTurtle here, but Dracomarino and Julio still trying to get FaraKrik, and he will bring him down.
That's 1 execute. Czechia now reviving. Sibi doesn't want to give this up. He's got the charge. He stuns out Dracomarino. Julio now between a rock and a hard place. Gets off the fatal strike, but jumping up and down is Dzoni, not going to get executed this time.
Still plenty of sustain for Julio though to stay alive, but the dashing from Sibi is good. Fusify's trying to back up, but Fusify has aggro, and Dzoni did not want to come into the tier 2 tower range there. That's what they were expecting Flashpoint for Dzoni to dive, but instead, the backer wanted the farm, and we'll get the farm in the jungle by taking away the red buff.
Good discipline by Dzoni and the rest of his teammates, not tower diving the tier 2 tower, even stripping away the red buff at the very tail end of that little engagement. Getting themselves about a 3,000 gold lead. Flashpoint were the ones behind in game number 1 at this point in the game, and they started to make comebacks. But now game 2, not only did they have their gold lead, but the experience lead is starting to really start to make a difference. And between these 2 junglers, Dzoni has the Bakasura. A scary factor to consider is when a Bakasura is ahead. And an empty feeling for yourself is when your Awilix jungle is behind.
Warchi at level 40 in the mid lane, kept even with FaraKrik so far. He's got the blue build online so far. All blue items. The only problem is, Tully, I'm looking at that build. Book of Tough, Shoes of Focus, and of course Kronos Pendant. Great for mana regen and cooldown reduction, but there's no penetration.
No penetration. Probably going to get another blue item with the Spear of Desolation. Warchi getting absolutely melted by Dzoni, courtesy level 17 Bakasura.
Dracomarino's not happy. He's trying to jump onto Johnny's face, but Dzoni says no thank you. I don't want any worms today. Fusify keeping Czechia in check as the rotation comes out of Kespainify as well. Nice knock up from Dracomarino towards the end, but he left WorstTurttle all alone, and the turtle has already fallen down. Fusify will drop in the mid lane, however, in trade to Julio, and now we're in a 3-on-4 situation.
Good execute out of Julio to at least respond in kind. Dracomarino now could be the next one to follow. He doesn't have this World Serpent. Keep in mind, Sibi with plenty of sustain in this 4-on-3, but it looks like Flashpoint are going to be setting themselves up for this Oni Fury.
Yeah, they've got a good chance to do this as well. WorstTurtle still dead for another 15 seconds. Raw has just respawned, but Sibi took a bit more poke from Czechia than bargained for with the axe, but watch around the back. Here comes Dzoni.
Dzoni looking for somebody, literally anybody, and that somebody's going to be Julio. Sibi with a double stun, forcing out the beats. Dzoni with a double kill. And just like that, Flashpoint gonna go for the objective.
Snipe from Warchi just off the mark there, hoping that Flashpoint gonna stay as a threesome and just group up towards the Fury. Instead though, Greed a little bit out of FaraKrik there hanging around, and still Flashpoint getting aggressive as Czechia is low. WorstTurtle's even lower, Warchi lower than that now as Kespainify gets a double kill. It's getting out of hand on this left-hand side.
Czechia kind of baiting his teammates by jumping in there, or at least going in, getting the kill, and then jumping on out. He did try to help out WorstTurtle find the kill, but a good beats from Kespainify, and then a better rotation from Sibi healing Kespainify as he was about to fall to this Awilix jungle. As Czechia gonna get taken out for an unofficial deicide, and a lot of this also comes down to Warchi playing the Raw. I have not seen a less impactful mid player in a long time in this, especially playing the Raw. Like his Searing Pain off the mark, like not even saving it for the potential objective steal, not saving it for setup, just taking it a blind shot in the dark. Now granted, he does have, you know, 30% CDR, then technically 40% with the Kronos Pendant passive, but at that point, when the fight was still relevant for the next 30 seconds, you can't be just throwing away your ultimate like that.
I mean, to look at Warchi's decision-making there, for the most part, that group up of that snipe on 3 men, if he hits that, it's probably going to stop Flashpoint doing the gold, right?
Yes.
So it's not a terrible decision, but it's very risky.
It's a very risky one in the terms of, like, you're not putting yourself out there by making that decision, but the ripple effects certainly showed its side of things when the damage was not there, because everyone from Flashpoint was very low, and that gave more value for Sibi's healing constantly.
My concern is a little bit for Warchi in terms of the lack of penetration. We mentioned that before the last fight, and now he's gone back to base and picked up some protections and health more than anything else. Sure, it may keep him alive longer, but he's not going to deal as much damage. We'll see if he does climb in the standings as time goes on. However, Dracomarino trying to make sure the Pyromancer stays alive on this right-hand side. As right-hand side, Sibi has already taken down the tier 1, pressuring onto a tier 2.
I don't mind this decision from Warchi going for probably what's going to be a Mergardian mail, knowing how much attacks he's receiving from Dzoni, so you're going to mitigate some of that, but there needs to also be a Witchblade from somebody. Probably Dracomarino is opting for that build right here, so double anti-attack speed could keep Dzoni in check, but he's already level 20, not even 21 minutes into the game, and he's making plays like this.
Johnny's fighting 2 on purpose because the rest of the team in mid lane are going to take a fight at the same time. Johnny's already taken out 1, looking at WorstTurttle, who brings him towards him for a bit more of a fight. Meanwhile, Darkest Night's coming to play from Kespainify, and at the same time, Dracomarino's running for his life. Julio will fall down momentarily, and Warchi's now left surrounded to fall down to 5 on 1. Fire Giants available. But who needs fire? There's towers and phoenixes available.
Oh, the Blake under the tier 2 tower. Dracomarino gonna get rooted.
Is this gonna be game again?
The deicide almost in the same exact time or same exact situation.
Is this just game 1? We're just playing game 1 again with different gods?
You can say that, but I like the plays from Dzoni. Going from the Alquang to the Bakasura, he held on to his beats during that 1v1 because he wants to get pulled closer.
They banned him a lot in that second game, but it still wasn't enough to shut down Dzoni, who goes 13-1-6. Credit to the whole squad, as all they're involved in at least 11 to 13 kills each. Flashpoint, take it down 2-0.
They banned the Alquang, they banned the Serket, they banned the Susan, but Dzoni playing the Bakasura still had a good look in that game.
What are you going to do? Try and ban the player, maybe. Could be the issue there. Queso, once again, objective focus early game looks really good for them. They seem to get the pressure going in the solo lane, speed pressure, blue pressure. But team fights is where they seem to get a little bit lost.
They were too aggressive on the right side of the map. Once Warchi took that first spill between that blue buff and the back camps, things started to fall downhill for Queso. Remember that WorstTurttle actually got the first blood defending the red buff onto the mid laner FaraKrik, but it just wasn't enough to really do anything with it. It was too early in the game. Kills that early don't amount to much objective-wise or anything, so it was important to establish mid-game control. Warchi, being an immobile mage, needed to farm up a lot, going for the Book of Thought Rush. During his first death, he didn't have it stacked up that plenty, and therefore it was all Flashpoint controlling the pacing. Dzoni, once he got Hasten Katana, was all over the place.
Well, let's head back to the desk to break down game 1, but I think still they're the best 2 teams in the Mine League from Europe for now.
Go, Johnny, go. Johnny on the spot. Pick your other. Johnny Rockets. Pick another one. Johnny's doing it again. You can try to ban him out. How many assassins were banned that round? It do not matter if the Baka nonsense comes through and just wins the game.
Yeah, 3 assassin bans actually from Queso. The AO, Susano, and Daji were all being looked at, and they even took the Awilix, although I don't think that Awilix is necessarily a playstyle that is super favorable towards Dzoni.
Sure.
I think that he's always been more of the hyper carry feature type of assassin gameplay, and well, when you give him the Bakasura, does just about everything that an AO does, and maybe even better in game 2.
Just able to chew players down. I do want to give a shout out though to Jormungandr. We did see a lot of good play kind of coming out from Dracomarino there. Was a part of the majority of the kills that Queso was able to get and did a lot of disruption. But at the end of the day, Dzoni and the boys just seemed a little too strong, and Flashpoint get the win.
I just think that as a whole, Flashpoint just felt a little bit more solidified in their team fighting engagements. We saw some promising stuff from Queso in the early game. I mean, WorstTurttle, like they were mentioning on the cast, or like Tolly mentioned, he actually got first blood and still was unable to really capitalize or gain any sort of serious momentum from that pick. It just felt like this Awilix really struggled to kind of take up off the ground. And like you said, there was some good stuff from the Jormungandr, but just not enough to really accentuate this Awilix.
I mean, when that's the problem, is that everybody on the side of Queso looked strong, but Johnny's out there literally getting 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 kills. It puts a serious damper on, and if you want the real number, the gold per minute is what you look at. Johnny, 671 gold per minute. Everyone on the side of Team Queso beneath 500. I mean, Czechia the highest at 500 essentially. That's really what happens, is because you look at the game and you say, well, kills don't win games. It's not that simple. But when you get kills in such a large mass number like Johnny does, you keep players off the map, you keep yourself on the map, and that allows you to push forward. So you're right, kills don't win games individually. But when you just have an absurd amount of them, everything gets shifted into your favor, and then it's up to you and the rest of the team to just basically perform, walk up mid, and win the game.
Yeah, just a lot of really solid, I think, structure sieges and objective pushes that wouldn't have normally been there had it not been for these multiple picks that Johnny kept making happen. And like I said, I definitely don't think that Johnny does it alone. The guy is a standout player. He's been doing a fantastic job in the jungle for this team, but I love the way that they come together as a whole, and the way that they work as one cohesive unit.
Led by Johnny, but everyone else falls into place, and everybody does their job. Fantastic game one more time by Flashpoint. They take out Queso. Coming up next, Out Cold versus Simplicity. You don't want to miss it.